Okay, I think we may be live. I apologize. We always do this and it always feels like you have no idea what's happening. Welcome back to our Cultivating Connections during the time of COVID web series. We are happy to bring you these every day, although tomorrow I don't know what we're doing for it yet, so it might be a surprise. Today, I get to turn this program over to National Grange President Betsy Huber to introduce and welcome us to Grange Month, the happiest month of the year. So if this month is as long as March was, at least we'll be celebrating it together. So welcome, Betsy. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Amanda. Thanks so much for arranging these. They've been a lot of fun. I've watched all of them, most of them live. So it's a bright spot in the day when you're closed into the house all the time. So happy Grange Month. Our theme this year, I'm going to lose my voice. This is my second Zoom today.
And no, she does not have COVID, everyone. She's okay.
No. Our theme for 2020 Grange Month is Cultivating Connections. And when we came up with this theme, that we didn't really know that connections were going to be different, but even more important than ever. I just love both of those words. Cultivating, I'm just itching to get out in my garden to cultivate the soil. I really want to be out there digging in the dirt, but it's a little too cold and wet. Cultivating, it makes me think of farming. I just love to be out there in the garden. That's my stress relief. So we plant seeds and cultivate them, and they grow into food or beautiful flowers or feed for our animals. That's one way of looking at cultivating. But in the Grange, we cultivate our youth and juniors. We help them to grow into responsible adults. And just less than a month ago, we had a group of juniors and youth in our DC office for the Washington, DC experience. And that was really cultivating them to be able to be knowledgeable citizens, to vote when they get older, the civic responsibility that we emphasize in the Grange. We also cultivate our adult members with lessons and classes and activities, new opportunities for learning leadership and skills in the Grange. The second word, connections. I think we all know what that means now, but the Grange has always been about connections, connecting to each other within the Grange as a family, connecting with our community outside our halls by hosting community events, assisting with them, making our halls available to other groups, giving assistance to worthy causes in our areas and beyond. Also connecting with government officials, from our local officials to county to state to national, expressing our opinions, promoting our Grange policy, offering our assistance with issues, giving them information if they're not familiar with our issues. We connect with our veterans and military members through our Quilts of Valor program. Just all kinds of ways that the Grange connects people and connects with other organizations and groups. Right now, it's more difficult to connect. We can't do it face to face, but it's still possible. I guess I was thinking ahead, but about 3, maybe 4 years ago, I made a ruling that We could have virtual Grange meetings or participate in a Grange meeting virtually. So now in this time, that's a great way. We still need to keep our Granges together, keep them active, keep them in touch, keep members in touch with each other. That's possible through Zoom. I'm on Zoom now. You're all on Facebook. To purchase, I think there's a free Zoom, but there's also a Zoom step up that's about $150 a year, which is pretty reasonable price for a Grange or a state Grange to purchase to allow all of to share with their Granges. I want to congratulate and thank the couple states who have already purchased a Zoom subscription and are allowing their subordinates to use that. It's North Carolina and Connecticut. I know Pennsylvania's had one for a year or two. Or if you don't want to go that route, there's also freeconferencecall.com, which is free. And you get a single phone number that all of your members can call into and be joined at a Grange meeting. So there's still Grange activities to do, or there's lots of things been posted on Facebook. Some of them that I really liked. Pencader Grange in Delaware, which is not far from me, they put together lunches for hospital workers and packed them all up and delivered them to the hospital for one-day lunch, just to brighten their day and thank them. That was a great idea. Terrapin Neck Grange, I saw on Facebook. They made Easter baskets with candy and flowers, and I don't know what all they had in them, and left them on neighborhood porches for people. No face-to-face contact, but just something to brighten their day. Stanford Grange in New York has a whole food cupboard on their porch. They've had a lot of pictures on Facebook that people who need food can just step up on the porch and take what they need. That's a wonderful thing. Lots of people are sewing masks. Pennsylvania State Grange has a weekly newsletter that they put a pattern in. So I haven't made one yet, but I'm getting ready to do that. I read that the Amish community in Lancaster County, which is right next to me, is making 13,000 masks for the community, just in this one county. It's amazing. Another thing I found was Women Heart. I get emails from this Women Heart group who advocate and assist women with heart disease. And they always need red scarves. So if you have some red yarn laying around, you can knit or crochet a scarf. It's womenheart.org/heart scarves. It has all the specifications, but they're 3 to 4 inches wide, 50 to 60 inches long, just any red. So that's something to do to keep you busy. Other things, we have lots of Grange contests that you could be working on your entries for. The quilt block contest, photography, walk around your house and take pictures of the beautiful springtime flowers. I'm so happy that my forsythia and daffodils are blooming. I always look forward to spring. many states have all kinds of contests, crafts, baking. You can practice your baking. Adults can enter the junior contests for a $5 entry fee. And that includes crafts and creative writing. Sit down and write a little story. And you can enter that in November at the convention. Another good thing that you can do this month when you're at home is work on your Grange's web page. Every Grange in the country has a web page, whether you know it or not. You can find it by going to grange.org / the name of your Grange, the state, and your Grange number. So mine is grange.org / Goshen, PA 121. And that will take you to your Grange website. And then the password, if you've never been on there before, the password is update. And then when you get in, you can change it to a password that you choose. If you're not sure how to customize your web page, you can contact Stephanie Wilkins in the national office. Her email is swilkins@nationalgrange.org. And there's also, she has a video tutorial on how to work with your Grange website that she can send you if you contact her. The way that people are going to find your Grange and find out what you're doing is online. So even if they drive by your Grange hall, they will Google you and find your web page. So it's important that you keep it updated and put something new on there frequently so that it stays interesting. Also, if you don't have a Facebook page for your Grange, that's a really great way of getting your news out. We've had suppers for Granges that when I walked in, I counted 5 people that I knew found out about that dinner by the Facebook notice. So that's a really easy way. It's a lot easier on Facebook than it is on the web page, I'll admit. You can use this time to make a Facebook page for your Grange. As John Benedict talked last night, it's good to have more than one person able to post things on it. So make sure you have another administrator when you make up the Facebook page so that there's at least 2 of you posting things and keeping it active. We have any questions yet, Amanda?
We have a comment, and that's from Katie Squire in California. She said their Grange Central Union is actually preparing to have their first Zoom meeting later this month, which is interesting because in California, the rest of us tend to think California must be so far ahead of us. But the fact that they're having their first telemeeting is interesting. Have you heard of a lot of other Granges that are having them and what they like about the format?
I've heard a few that are having conference calls or Zoom meetings recently. This is kind of forcing us all into the 20th century, maybe the 21st. My Zoom meeting earlier today, I heard about a church that's having their church services by Zoom with 70 families logged in. So I didn't know it would go that big, but that's a great idea. So no Grange is too large to be able to have a Zoom meeting.
I have so if you know my cell phone number, you know a lot of folks have ended up texting me questions instead of putting them below. This has happened almost every time. So you're welcome to do that. I'm typically checking it while we're on live. So we had a question come in that asked, what are things that people struggle to connect with when they do the meetings, the telemeetings? So I think that what the question is if you have a real meeting in person, what are you losing? And do you have any recommendations? I know I'm thinking like you definitely are losing walking around and opening with a flag and a Bible. So what recommendations would you have if you're going to a virtual meeting?
Well, I think my Grange actually has had a conference call meeting the past couple times, just because we have members in college and members that maybe can't get out easily in the winter months. And we still read the opening ceremony on the phone. So that I definitely recommend that you go through the opening ceremony, because that will still bring you together and you'll know that you're at a Grange meeting, even if you can't see or you're not in the Grange Hall. So I would still do the opening, the pledge to the flag you can do, opening prayer, reading the minutes, or you can actually email the minutes out so you don't have to read them online on the phone. I would be careful to make sure that everybody has the chance to talk, because sometimes I know I hesitate to interrupt anybody, and then maybe you can't get a word in, so you kind of keep quiet. But make sure to give everybody the opportunity to comment if you're having a discussion, or give updates or whatever.
So follow-up was, are the same mandatory things mandatory, which I think you kind of covered. Is it still mandatory that there's a flag somewhere? I mean, maybe nobody has a flag in their home. I'm sure somebody has a flag pin. I'm sure everybody or somebody at least has a Bible in their home that they can open. But so, are the things still mandatory? I don't think anybody's going and checking these meetings out to
No. No, we're not going around and checking. I would not interpret that to mean every single person that's attending have a Bible and a flag. I think maybe the master can have the flag and the Bible, and that would suffice for the Grange meeting. You have to kind of use common sense. But just know that when we say the pledge, there's a flag somewhere. And we do recognize the Bible. So, as long as one of the participants has those two items, then I think it's covered.
It is a whole new world. There's things that even in your ruling, you probably didn't think, well, what specifically do I need to say? So everybody's trying something different. That's kind of fun with this, I think.
Yeah. It would be good to get some reports about what people like about it, what they recommend for improvements to our policy, or maybe improvements to our digest that would make this easier to do.
Yeah.
But I really think it's important that we keep connected, that we keep meeting, keep planning events for the future, for when this is over. We need to be ready to jump out there with our next activity to let people know that we're still here. I think I'm kind of worried that we're going to get out of the habit of going to Grange. I mean, my Grange meets twice a month, first and third Friday night. And, if I go for a couple months, 3 months, however long this is, without going to Grange on Friday night, I'm going to lose that habit and maybe forget. So that really concerns me.
I agree. I think there's some good homework to come out of this for Granges who want to provide some feedback. And we don't often get to test out Grange. Our founders did by having Potomac to see if something would work or not work, and if they could replicate something in the field that they created there. But we don't get to do that today because the Grange is the Grange, and we've always done it this way. So I think this is really actually kind of a fun time in our evolution. I just wanted to tell you that we have a couple comments, a couple questions. So Dwayne Hamp from 5 Mile Prairie Grange in Washington said they held their first Zoom meeting and it worked really well this past month. So it sounds like there's some positive reviews so far. And actually, Dawn Ansett, who I'm pretty sure is from Rhode Island, said she was disappointed that they haven't tried that out yet. So some good feedback and good interest in doing something new. Debbie Goodrich said her church has been having a service for the last 3 weeks with 155 people in attendance. So hopefully we can follow the churches. And then they all mentioned that, by the way, you were buffering and we were having a little lag, but I think we all need to just be expecting that happens now with our technology. Last thing was Sam Keeter, and I think Sam's in Oregon. Is that? Yep. Yeah. I would add that during a virtual subordinate meeting is to sing, starting with the national anthem. So he's noting some of the things that normally happen there and whether or not they're important to do.
Yeah, good idea. We did actually sing an opening and closing song at our last meeting on the phone, so that was interesting. Forget what I was going to say now.
Well, I'll let you think about that. Mark Naylor said, I'm hoping that one thing that comes out of this is more support for rural broadband. And I think we are definitely seeing that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have 3 of us now in the house that are all online at the same time. My daughter has been working from home for 2 weeks, I think. And I have, of course, and our grandson came home from college and he has lots of Zoom meetings and conference calls. So we went out and bought a router extender so that I can now be in my side of the house and still have enough bandwidth to do this. But it's a challenge even, I mean, I'm 50 miles from Philadelphia, but we still have an issue with the strength of the band to be able to do what we want to do. And I know other areas have a much worse problem. This is definitely going to point out the need for rural broadband. And of course, we've been advocating for that for years and still are very much today. So I think we'll see some faster action on that front.
So Joan Smith from Potomac Grange #1 in DC just pointed out that the Grange store has a disc with Grange music that could be played. And the music does not have words. So hopefully you're picking songs that either everyone knows or picking songs that people have picked up songbooks and taken home with them that they can follow along. But that is a good suggestion. Check out the Grange supply store at this time. Most of your members probably don't have a manual at home or a songbook, but maybe this is the time where they want it.
Yes, our store is still open. It may take a little bit longer to get your products because all of the states around DC now are under stay-at-home order. We still have a couple staff members going into the office once a week, so but it will not be staffed every day from now on because we're not supposed to travel. But we're doing the best we can.
This is where hope and persevere really comes in to play, I think.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about, what's going on and the staff? I know that there's been some questions from people about how the staffing is and, why there's still staff there. And I think, at least from my perspective, I know a lot of us have volunteered to still be there because, it's important. But Can you talk a little bit about the staff during this time?
Yeah, we have really wonderful staff in the national office. They're really dedicated to serving you, the members. And for 2 weeks, we've had a rotating schedule where there's been one staff person in each day. And they go in 1 day a week. And needs to use the metro to get there and can't.
She's back. Okay.
Oh, did I disappear?
You did. We heard that they're getting metro and back, and we had heard dedicated staff, and we had about a 30-second pause. So
Oh no.
you don't have to do praise again, but just so you know, we lost about 30 seconds there.
Yeah. Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
What are you looking for?
She says there's supposed to be a little camera. It says create live. Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Betsy.
But does she need to go to the National Grange page?
Oh. Really? Oh, okay. There I am. Am I on? Live on Facebook. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry for the problems. We were talking about the staffing in the national office. So we're trying to have somebody in there most days. But we're still staffing the store and getting your items out in the mail. It just may take a couple days longer. I wanted to mention the main daily email that I get from their, it's a newsletter connected to their webpage. And Rick Groton is their membership director, and he had a great article on there the 28th. That was Saturday. Just had some really good points about this crisis and Grange and how we relate to it. He says, let's make lemonade from this lemon. I think that's a good philosophy to have. And isn't it strange that our news networks and newspapers lately have not reported much really bad news other than the pandemic? We haven't heard about any terrorist attacks or wars or the campaigning political argument. So that's a good thing to come out of this, I think. It's bringing us together. Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we have a question.
Oh, we have a question. Oops. Suggests that State Grange's websites could host a list of call-in information for local virtual Grange meetings. Okay. State Grange websites could host a list of call-in information for local Grange meetings so that visitors might drop in and visit. That's a great idea. You can have all kinds of visitors at your local Grange meetings. Join you on your call or your Zoom meeting. Other things from Rick's article. He talked about, in a previous column, he talked about community, cooperation, and communication. And this time he's adding a fourth C of change. And we're certainly seeing a lot of rapid change in this time. Changes are taking place beyond our control, which is certainly true. We may not like to be forced to change, but sometimes that's the way it goes. It's up to us to adapt. And whether or not we like it, we have to accept the changes and make the best of them. So that's what we're all trying to do. Keep our Granges going, keep them active, keep them in the public awareness, even though we can't meet face to face and physically help each other. So we cooperate with the president's order, the governor's orders, what the medical experts are telling us. We work together to fight this. We cooperate to help our neighbors if they need help. Shop for them, just call and check on them. Community. We all need each other more now than ever, that's for sure. Be available for those in need. I know food cupboards are struggling. I'm sure there'll be lots more people using them now with so many people not able to go to work. So think about when you go out, when you have to go out to do your shopping, pick up something extra and donate it. And then communication, that's what we've been talking about through this whole session, is how to communicate with the restrictions that we have. Check on people, call people that you've been meaning to call for a long time and just haven't sat down to do it. Now's the time. Check on them, brighten their day. So far, we've been pretty positive through this whole thing, but I think it's going to get rough when we get into the 3rd and 4th and 5th week of being stuck at home. It may not be fun anymore, so we need to keep each other keep each other, so our spirits up. So do we have Amanda back? Maybe?
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was a struggle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not on really rural broadband either, but it was feeling a lot that way. I apologize. And I apologize to everybody for our inconvenience, but thank you for sticking with us. It's good to have an presenter. That makes all the difference.
Well, I've just been babbling on. So are there any questions or comments? Anything anybody wants to know?
So there's a couple of comments that have come in, mostly everybody telling you that they could hear you, and then that they understood what was happening because they, of course, live with this lovely technology as well. Katie Squire mentioned that if we invite non-members to attend an online meeting, do we give them a slightly different time, like 7:10, instead of their 7 o'clock opening? How would you best recommend that they go about incorporating those non-members into their meetings?
Well, our meetings are totally open nowadays. There's nothing that we do that's secret. So unless you have some private issue, some discussion that you don't want to have in public that only should be heard by members, then they're allowed to participate in the entire meeting. But if you don't want that to happen, if there's a reason why you want to have a private discussion among your own Grange meetings, then yes, I would advertise the meeting for 10 or 15 minutes later than you actually start with your members.
Are there any other recommendations you have for conducting a meeting like this that might make it go smoother? I'm thinking, obviously, we just had our big tech glitch, so you can't always make it smooth, but maybe something that you would recommend for people to have a meeting in a good format that's people can follow.
Well, I would say it's good to be prepared when you actually go to a Grange meeting in person and give a committee report. You can kind of do it off the cuff, but maybe if you're virtual, you should be a little more prepared in advance, like have some notes down or have in mind what you're going to say. That would make it flow better. Of course, there needs to be discussion back and forth, but it can be done decently and in order. So that people try not to have people talking over each other. It's difficult to do when you can't see them or when virtually, but you can have an orderly meeting and hear everybody. It can be done.
I think technically wise, one of the things I would recommend is to ask everybody who's not at that moment having a speaking part to put themselves on mute, just because I know a lot of times you get feedback or there's something going on in the background and it gets really distracting for everybody to hear. So if you've got a TV going in the background and somebody's trying to do the prayer on a different connection, it's hard. It gets very distracting. And then the other thing is the free Zoom only, I think, allows you a 30-minute meeting before it shuts the meeting down and you would have to all log back on again, potentially with a different code. So if you're going to do Zoom, which they're great, but you may want to know that you're very concise in your time. So either dispense with some of the stuff that you can at that moment, or just keeping it within that time frame is really important, because you could be in the middle of a great discussion and then it just goes away.
Yeah, usually Zoom is great. Once in a while there's issues, but yeah, it's important to be able to talk together and plan for the future. That's the main thing. There's going to be issues. It's going to be different than meeting in person, but it's really important to try.
Just the last comment that we've had come on was Samantha Wilkins actually joined us, and she said that she knows that junior Granges in several states are holding their meetings on Zoom, and they may have been doing it previous to that, but they're running the whole meeting together and doing a craft or activity together. So it's pretty neat for the kids who, frankly, a lot of them are on Zoom these past 2 weeks for school too. So they're getting used to this technology.
Yeah, they're much better at it than we are. I was going to say too that even rattling papers next to your phone or microphone can be very distracting, or tapping your foot or something like that. It magnifies in the meeting, in the call. So you have to be aware of those kind of things too.
And even the smallest sound from one person can flip the camera to them. So if I cough and don't have myself on mute while Betsy is talking, the camera will flip to me, and you want to see her when she's talking. So I know that those are some things that we've learned as we're doing this past 2 weeks too. So Katie Squire had recommended that if you know you're going to bust that, it is 40 minutes, Lori, let us know, not 30. But if you're going to bust that time frame, consider scheduling, just already telling people you're going to have the time frame of 40 minutes and then schedule 2 meetings back to back with 5 minutes in between, so that you can do all of your material that you want. And she said that if you have a school teacher in your Grange, check to see if they have access information to an unlimited time format, because a lot of them are getting it now.
Ah, yes. We can share among our members. Some of them may have other types of technology too for go-to meetings or anything like that, and possibly you can use them.
And depending on how large or small your group is, you can also just use your regular phone to do a couple of folks with conference calls string together. So I know I can add up to 8 people, maybe 8 different phone calls on at the same time using an iPhone. So if I can add those and then someone else can do that, you could get most of a Grange in on most of a phone call.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the questions we have. Katie Squire also mentioned Google Hangouts is another option. So there are tons of options, and if you don't know them, find the 16-year-old in your life and they will tell you all of them. Don't do Snapchat. No, I'm joking. So is there anything else that you wanted to share, Betsy? Because I know that you have other meetings today and you're busy.
Yeah. Just wanted to show you I have a guest. This is Meatball.
Hello, Meatball. Where is Sassy? Uh-oh, you don't have sound. I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear her?
Okay. I got a message on my screen. You're still showing as muted. I just want to say happy Grange month. Keep meeting, keep doing all the things that you can. Plan for the future, plan for some great activities when we come out of this, so that people will be flocking to join the Grange because we've been there through this time of trial.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Betsy, for coming on and for letting us do these and keep everyone connected during this crazy time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, we do not have a scheduled program for tomorrow or Friday, but I'm hoping that we have a few folks who have asked to do something, and so we may have some folks step up. If you have some suggestions or comments, we'd love to hear them. I should also tell you that on Saturday night, we are going to have a virtual Grange talent show. We have 6 of our members from different places in the country who are going to join us through this platform. no promises with the technology, but we're going to try to give you a Saturday night date in as a way to enjoy time with other Grangers and the talents of other Grangers. And I was told by Joan Smith that I should remind you that if you are having a date in, consider what you would have spent for a date night out. And if at this time you have the resources and the means, you may want to forward the money that you would have spent out to the Grange Foundation as part of the Meal a Month Fund program that she's created, a way to give back to the Grange when it's giving to you. We understand that not everybody has those resources at this time. So if you do and you give, we thank you. If you don't, we're with you and we're thinking of you. And we hope that the Grange is bringing at least a little light and spirit to your life during this hard time. So we will see you Saturday night, if not before. That should be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be getting some information out about it. So have a wonderful Grange month, everybody. And like Betsy said, please keep meeting. Wash your hands.